Over 700 miles off the coast of mainland India lies an island no one can touch. No ports, no airstrips, just silence. From above, it looks like paradise. Turquoise waters, white sands, and dense jungle rising from the sea. But beneath the beauty, there's silence. A silence guarded for tens of thousands of years. Boats that drift too close are met with arrows. Helicopters that hover overhead are chased away by spears. Every attempt to land has ended the same way, in retreat. This is North Sentinel Island, one of the most isolated places on Earth, a world that exists apart from ours, a place so cut off, it's as if time itself stopped at its shores. Long before nations, maps, or written language, small groups of early humans left Africa. They followed coastlines, fishing, foraging, moving with the tides. Some of them reached what is now the Andaman Archipelago, a scattered chain of islands in the eastern Indian Ocean. Tens of thousands of years ago, one of those groups settled here. Back then, the sea was lower. The islands were linked by land bridges to the mainland. But when the Ice Age ended, the oceans rose, cutting them off, island by island. The people on North Sentinel found themselves stranded, alone on a patch of land surrounded by deep, unforgiving ocean. The island itself is small, a landmass roughly the size of Manhattan, ringed by coral reef and dense tropical forest. Over millennia, isolation became their way of life. They adapted perfectly to their world, fishing in shallow reefs, hunting wild pigs and birds in the jungle, gathering fruit and honey. Their canoes, carved from single tree trunks, glide over the lagoon, but never far into open sea. Every part of the island sustains them. Every plant, every tide, every rhythm of wind and rain. Their exact number is unknown. Estimates range from as few as 50 to perhaps a little over 100 people, living in small family groups scattered through the forest. Their language has no known relatives. Their culture, unseen by outsiders, may be one of the oldest living links to how all humans once survived. While empires rose and fell, while cities spread across continents, the people of North Sentinel Island stayed unchanged, not frozen in time, but independent of it. For them, the outside world doesn't mean curiosity or progress. It means disease, violence, disruption. And history has taught them to meet strangers not with words, but with warning. For most of history, North Sentinel was invisible. No charts, no records, only an empty patch of sea on early maps of the Bay of Bengal. The world simply sailed past it until ships began to wander farther east. In the late 18th century, British explorers charting the Andaman Islands caught sight of it. A small green mound rising out of the water, ringed with surf. They noted it, named it, and moved on. No one dared to land. From the deck of a ship, the reef already looked hostile, waves breaking in every direction, leaving no clear passage through. Decades later, the first close encounter came by accident. In 1867, an Indian merchant vessel, Nineveh, ran aground on the reef. Over 100 passengers and crew managed to reach the beach, exhausted and injured. At first, they saw nothing but forest and birds. Then movement, dark figures emerging from the trees, bows drawn. Arrows fell among the shipwreck survivors. The captain signaled frantically to passing boats, and after 2 days of holding the attackers off with sticks and oars, they were rescued. Every survivor told the same story, an island that wanted no guests. In 1880, a British colonial officer named Maurice Vidal Portman decided to visit the island. He led an armed party ashore. Explorers, soldiers, and convicts used as porters. They found empty huts, small fires still burning, and handmade tools scattered in the sand. but the islanders themselves had vanished into the forest. Portman's men followed their tracks. When they finally encountered a small group, a few elders and children, they captured them and took them to Port Blair, the British administrative base in the Andamans. Within days, the 2 elderly captives died, likely from exposure to foreign diseases. The children were quickly returned to the island with gifts of coconuts and cloth, but the damage was done. From that moment, the Sentinelese learned that outsiders brought sickness and death. Every arrow that followed, every spear lifted toward the sea, carried that memory. For nearly a century after, no one tried again. The island slipped back into mystery, a green shadow glimpsed from distant ships, surrounded by stories of danger and curses whispered among sailors in Port Blair. Then, in 1967, India's Anthropological Service tried a different approach. This time, there were no guns, no captives, only curiosity. A small team led by researcher T.N. Pandit anchored near the reef, shouting friendly words in Onge, a neighboring island language. Figures appeared on the beach, watching in silence. The visitors left gifts, coconuts, pots, and a pig. When they returned a few days later, the pig had been buried and the coconuts taken. It was a message both simple and profound. Some things are welcome, others are not. These cautious exchanges continued on and off for years, always from a distance, always uncertain. No one learned their language. No one was invited inland. A handful of filmed moments show men with bows, women watching from the trees, fires burning along the beach at dusk. And then the pattern stopped. By the 1990s, the Sentinelese no longer came to meet the boats. They retreated completely, and the Indian government decided to end the visits altogether. Today, their island remains sealed, a green world surrounded by blue, perfectly cut off from ours. For a place sealed off for millennia, North Sentinel Island still captures the modern imagination. The more forbidden it becomes, the stronger the pull to reach it. In 2006, 2 fishermen from the Indian mainland fell asleep in their small motorboat. During the night, their anchor line broke, and the current dragged them across the invisible border that protects the island. When dawn came, their boat had run aground on the reef. From the trees, the Sentinelese emerged, bows raised. The fishermen never left the beach. Indian patrols later recovered their damaged vessel, but the men's bodies were never retrieved. Helicopters sent to survey the site were met with arrows that clattered against the rotors, forcing them to turn back. 12 years later, in 2018, a young American missionary named John Allen Chow attempted what generations of explorers had failed to do, to meet the Sentinelese face to face. He paid local fishermen to take him close to the island under cover of darkness. From there, he paddled alone through the surf, carrying a waterproof Bible and a camera. He shouted greetings, sang hymns, and offered fish as gifts. For a brief moment, they watched him in silence. Then arrows flew. He tried again the next day. The fishermen who waited offshore saw his body dragged across the sand. No rescue was attempted. North Sentinel had spoken again. In the years that followed, fascination only grew. Satellite images, drone footage, and internet documentaries turned the island into a digital obsession. Each photograph, each grainy video clip, only deepened the mystery. And with that mystery came a dangerous kind of curiosity, a race to be the first outsider to see what no one else has seen. In 2025, a US YouTuber named Mikhailo Polyakov took that challenge too far. Armed with a camera, a coconut, and a can of Diet Coke, he hired a fishing boat and tried to approach the island to film the most forbidden place on Earth. He never reached the beach. Indian authorities intercepted his vessel and arrested him before he could step ashore. The footage went viral. Outrage followed. Indigenous rights advocates called it reckless, a stunt that could have unleashed disease on an isolated people with no immunity. The message was clear. In an age where everything is filmed, some places must remain unseen. To prevent another tragedy, India reaffirmed its laws. Under the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, protection of Aboriginal tribes. Regulation: no vessel may come within 5 nautical miles of North Sentinel. The Navy patrols the perimeter. Fishermen are warned by radio. Even scientists studying nearby reefs must stay away. No exceptions, no permits, no negotiation. For the Sentinelese, those invisible borders mean survival. With perhaps only 50 to 100 people remaining, even a simple virus could erase an entire lineage that has endured since the Stone Age. Every patrol, every restriction exists to prevent that. And so the island endures, unvisited, unfilmed, untamed, a single patch of forest in the Indian Ocean that has resisted the entire modern world. North Sentinel Island has outlasted empires, pandemics, and centuries of curiosity. It has rejected contact, technology, and the very idea of being known. To the modern world, that might seem like defiance. But to the Sentinelese, it's simply life, the same rhythm their ancestors followed tens of thousands of years ago. They do not need our language, our roads, or our approval. They have what humanity once had: balance with the land and freedom from everything beyond it. So North Sentinel remains untouched. In a world obsessed with access, it is the last place we are not allowed to go. And maybe that's exactly why it still survives. If you're drawn to stories of the unreachable, islands, mountains, and mysteries that resist the modern world, make sure to subscribe, because some frontiers aren't meant to be conquered. They're meant to be left alone.